Guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
And this week we're going to be talking about something I think we've talked about several times.
To some degree,
maybe
yeah.
not so much on the show, but I know we've talked about it before.
Right. Yeah, I think we've been brought it up on the show, but
Yeah. And that's what
keeps coming up in public.
Yeah,
Like
that's
in,
very true.
you know.
What exactly has happened to rock music? So like I said, this is something we've talked about several times before, and it just, I think really what brought it to my thinking was with the announcement of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And there was definitely a little bit of uproar about some of the nominations this year.
I can kind of understand this, the controversy a little bit, just a little bit, because there's some names that were mentioned that definitely belong there, and there's not to say that any of them don't belong there. It's just there's so many other artists that get overlooked in lieu of just big names, and it's like I know it's political, but is it that political?
Yeah. There was a video I want to make sure I get his name right, because I just started watching his channel. His name is Finn McKenty. He does the Punk Rock MBA. He's a huge channel, so I'm sure a lot of you guys already watch his channel out there. But he did a video just recently, within the last, month or so, about, what exactly has happened to rock music, and really, when did rock lose its, cultural impact? Mm-hmm. And I think it's really something, like I said, we've talked about a lot, over the years, and because it's something we've both kind of wondered about.
And I think you I didn't watch the video, but you
of course you didn't watch the video.
You know what? But you did bring up some of the points that the person in the video made, and I don't necessarily agree with those points. But I'll let you explain it again and see if I'm on the right track with thinking that.
Well, let's see. So I thought he made some really good points, and that was at the formation of rock music, at least 60s through the 70s, a lot of it was rebellion, counterculture, just having a good time, fun. A lot of the 50s rock
either was trying to say something or just have fun with it.
Yes.
One of those.
And at some point we've gone from where rock was about those fun times, those, having a message and really kind of making a point, to where rock music is today, which I think is very far from that. The stuff that we have today, I think, is really kind of uptight kind of rock. I think really takes itself too seriously.
I wouldn't even go that far, because I agree with the rebellious side of things and the fun thing to a degree, but I don't think it's gotten too serious. I think the problem is that it's just,
it's boring.
Rock and roll was dangerous back then. If people thought Elvis was going to ruin society, then the Beatles, oh my God, the Beatles are just, and then the Stones are even worse.
Like I said, from the founding of rock music through the 90s and early 2000s, it was, like I said, rock was about, and I'm not talking, obviously not all rock music was.
Right.
But a lot of rock music, at least the stuff that was really popular on the Billboard charts and stuff, which is kind of what you have to go by. It was about having a good time. It was about party music, stuff you turn on and dance to. And then at some point...
Really? Think
absolutely.
About this. When I think of rock from when we were teenagers, I'm thinking Nirvana and Pearl Jam. None of that was fun.
But if you think about it, I even put a list together here. Look at these bands. 311. Those are, they had fun kind of music.
Oh, yeah.
Third Eye Blind, Hootie and the Blowfish, P.O.D., Limp Bizkit, The Offspring, Lit.
Limp Bizkit? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun music?
Absolutely.
And even Third Eye Blind. Third Eye Blind I get, but...
The Offspring? Absolutely.
Offspring, yes. Hootie and the Blowfish, I'm not even sure if they're rock.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're rock music. Green Day, I
folky
don't know if I
rock.
mentioned Green Day or not, but
No,
Green Day was definitely a fun kind of band. It's a fun kind of music. The stuff they put out there, they were creating an image different from what a lot of people experience in life. And I think rock music today doesn't really do that. Over the course of I'd say really the last 10 years or so, like he talked about in his video, rock music lost that identity, and electronic music took up the mantle. Who else did? Rap music, hip hop.
Well, hip hop
became
was
the fun music,
grabbing onto that in the 90s.
Oh, absolutely.
Late 80s, early 90s.
With the creation of grunge, absolutely. When you got Dr. Dre and NWA and the things that they were creating,
because that was more
music.
like you said, the rebellious culture clash.
But it was also it also had its fun moments also.
Oh yeah,
And-
with
and-
Run DMC.
Absolutely.
And, I get it, but I mean, I guess maybe it's for me. I'm not picturing.
You have to set away. That's the thing when you think about this topic is it's sometimes it's hard for us to like set aside our personal beliefs in music because a lot of the music
Or just
I love
interpretation
that
of
comes
music,
out,
too, 'cause-
I still think has that fun element to it. But overall, a wide majority of rock music just does not. There's something in rock music over the last decade that just does not connect
Well, give
with
me
a vast
give me an
majority of people.
example of something that's come out in the last 10 years that falls into that category. Because maybe that's where I'm having my
Of what?
of not fun rock.
Any of it.
Well, you got to be more specific.
Like any bands that have come out in the past decade. Yeah, of course you're going to have, I think that Greta Van Fleet is a perfect example of a band that obviously is trying to create that image.
but see, I can think of a
Machine Gun Kelly with his newest album is
That's
another one that
rock,
is
yeah.
creating that like early 2000s fun image. And actually, Machine Gun Kelly actually got a bunch of grief online because he was talking about when he was on Warped Tour and the guys were on stage wearing like comfortable shoes, being all dressed up basically. And he's like his whole point was, what kind of image are you trying to create through your music? I understand you're just trying to create music to create good music.
right. That's
but
what I was gonna say. I don't understand what the image has to do with it.
Because there's always been this big image. If you think about rock music, when rock music was the dominant force for 40, 50 years, it always had these larger than life image of the or personas. You really don't have that anymore.
I don't know. I don't know if image. I mean, granted, like you said, it's about how our own perception is. To me, it's never been about image. I don't really care what the image is,
A lot of people do though.
and I know, but
Because that's
but
how
when
a
you're
lot, that's how a
buying
lot of people connect to the music is through the videos, through things like that. But if you look at like 2000, there are 2000s bands that did a great job at creating that image. If you look at it, Blink-182 in the early 2000s, Fall Out Boy, Buck Cherry. As much as people don't like Buck Cherry, they definitely created that fun,
I don't
that
know any
fun
Buck
kind of
Cherry.
atmosphere. The White Stripes did a great job. My Chemical Romance. All
And see,
Time
I've heard
Low,
so many
Paramount.
people say how the White Stripes is pretentious because of not only the musical topics.
But think about it when you would go to a party, having a fun time, drinking beers with your friends. I can completely see some White Stripes playing in the background. Absolutely, having a good time.
Well, I mean,
But that's what I'm talking about. Is at some point the rock kind of lost its connection to people.
I guess. I mean, it hasn't lost its connection to me, and there's a lot of new bands.
Me either. But
A lot of new bands that I like. I mean, I don't look at it from that perspective.
But that's what I'm
though.
saying though. Is yes, there are bands and music out there, newer music that connect with us, but it's just not connecting with a vast majority of.
I guess
the
the other thing to it is that I kind of gave up on rock and roll being mainstream 15 years ago. I came to the realization that rock music is not popular. I mean, it's popular amongst people like us, but it's not popular. It's not pop music anymore. It's on the fringe just a little bit, not so far off. But it's just
It's
not
way off.
It's not relevant. And I don't think it has been for maybe 20 years.
Rock hasn't been relevant. I would say the last 10 years, rock has not really been relevant.
And I don't know if it needs to be. It's fine. It's doing fine in the realm that it is. And it was just time for other musical forms to take over, whether it be hip hop or R&B. And I mean, those were kind of taking over in the 90s anyway, but
Rock still had its place though.
it did have its place. But we live in a world where things are very fickle, and there's so many options that it's hard for anything to grab a mainstream hold.
I don't know.
And
there's a lot of
you know-
newer music as far as like EDM and rap, hip hop, there's country even that really kind of grasps and holds on to the public where rock
First
just
of all,
doesn't do it.
I don't know about EDM because I don't know. Is there a radio station that plays EDM?
Sure there is.
Is there? I don't
But even
know.
if you
I
look
don't
at
listen to radio,
even if you
but-
don't look at radio play, look at festivals. There's tons of electronic festivals out there, and they do huge.
yeah, EDM
numbers.
festivals just have the best drugs.
I wouldn't say that, but there's a lot of people that go to those shows that aren't doing lots of drugs either. There's also a lot of people that are going to rap concerts and rock concerts and country concerts
Oh
stoned
yeah.
out of their mind.
See,
also.
I just think rock and roll has had its day in the sun, and it's not that it's not going anywhere. It's just never going to be what it was.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Is
I don't think it's anyone's fault. I don't think
there's
music's
something deficient in rock music in the last decade to get it where it's at today, where it's not that dominant.
I just think
anymore.
it was just a
Because
natural
I think
evolution.
I think everything music is cyclical,
Yeah.
and it'll always come back around. And I think rock at some point will shed its serious tone and kind of get with the fun times again. And be that kind of party.
You say that, but I mean,
music.
look at what could arguably be the pretentious nature of a lot of music in the '60s and '70s, and it's like, and even the '90s, the grunge era is pretentious in the very fact that it's tempting not to be.
You did notice those bands I mentioned. None of them were grunge bands.
Well, but that's what rock was. That was
But
the
it
next
wasn't.
evolution of rock.
That was a segment of rock.
But that was hugely popular. That was dominating the airwaves on radio and MTV.
For about 4 years.
Still, and it was the reason why bands like the ones that we talked about the other day, Poison and Rat and all these fun, like, glamorous hair
Well,
bands.
those 80s bands. But
Yeah, but I mean, grunge eliminated all their popularity, and they never got it back. They never did. Motley Crue and all that, they've had little glimmers, but they've never come back to where they were, say, 1989, 1990.
But you're talking about like genres of rock. I'm talking about rock in general, whether it's traditional rock or alternative, or even there's the big ska wave in the later 90s.
Like I said, I didn't watch this video, so I don't want to make assessments or judgments or assumptions about where that person's coming from. I just think that a lot of times, because I'm guilty of this too, a lot of times you look around and you don't see what you like being represented in the mainstream, and you have to find a way to blame something for that. I don't think anything's really changed on rock. I think rock and roll is exactly the same now as it was. I'm generalizing here, but I think it's being produced and written with the same intentions and the same drive as it was before.
I don't think so.
I just don't think
not
people don't want to listen to it as much.
Not on a wide scale, it's not.
And like you said, it is cyclical. We're going to have new types of rock. We're going to have huge resurgences of bands that are popular. But I think overall, as far as mainstream music goes, rock has had its time in the sun, and it's never going to be where it was ever. No matter what happens. I think it's just we're talking about a genre that started 60 plus years ago. It's beyond its point. I mean, you've got kids.
I think you're giving up on it a little too
No,
easily.
I'm not giving up on it because it's still there. It's not going away. It's still going to be available and accessible to all the people who want it. And like I said, there's going to be groups like Greta Van Fleet who get mainstream play and are going to be seen around. But it's not going to be like the late 70s and early 80s where there was 5 rock and roll radio stations on the radio, and every one of them were playing different stuff. And bands like Boston and Journey were selling out stadiums. It's just not going to happen. It's never going to be that way again, no matter how they alter what we perceive their.
We'll see. I think there's definitely an opportunity there, but I think a lot of artists that are out there right now just aren't hitting what needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean that's like saying we know what the magic potion is for popularity too, and I don't think, like I said, that's why I think it's kind of generalized. I don't necessarily disagree with some of the points that you and the guy in the video made. I think the premise is fine. The hypothesis is off.
Oh, that's all we got for you today, guys. I think it's a really interesting conversation. Make sure you drop a comment down below and let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously you can see it's not. I wouldn't say it's hugely contentious, but it's a topic that has multiple layers to it.
Yeah, absolutely. But make sure you hit the subscribe button. Give us the old thumbs up. Hit the bell, right, Ian?
Dingy dingy.
That's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.